Welcome to Behind the Lines, coming to you from the socialist, Marxist lines of Washington State. It's a crazy liberal petri dish for the rest of the country, folks. Stay up to date with all the great news right here. So I want to talk about some of these new, specifically right now, about this new law that's trying to be passed in Washington. It's making its way through the House. It is Substitute House Bill 1054. This is an act relating to establishing requirements for tactics and equipment used by peace officers. This is nuts. And some of these things in here I can understand. One of the new sections is that a peace officer may not use a chokehold or neck restraint on another person in the course of his or her duties as police officer. I guess I get it, because of misuse and not being able to perform the neck restraint properly. People are getting hurt or killed. Although the number of cases of that happening really aren't that great. The one that really concerns me in this law is about the canine. In Section 3, a peace officer may not use a police dog for the purpose of arresting or apprehending another person. This is, why? How did this come up? Do you know how many times it is much safer for an officer to send a dog into a situation than sending a police officer into a situation? And just the visual deterrent of the dog often is enough to get somebody to comply. I worked as a police officer for almost 9 years, and I worked around canine dogs. I trained with a canine officer. I've had the canine chase me down, in fact, during training, and they are very effective. And this is a ridiculous request to tell police they cannot use a dog. And I'd love to know why the Democrat, who has probably never held a job like this, never done anything dangerous in his life, sat behind a desk his whole life, where he came up with this. This is a good idea. And then, of course, moving on to Section 4, law enforcement agency may not use, purchase, acquire, or authorize its peace officers to use tear gas. This doesn't apply to the OC spray that they carry on their duty belts, but, of course, this is just so people can go out and tear up the city and cause all kinds of damage, and cops don't have any way to break it up. And, you can make the argument that the Geneva Convention bans tear gas from the use in wars and blah, blah, blah. What are they supposed to do? How are they supposed to break up these large groups of people that can't be controlled? You can't take away tools they need to do their job. And if people are going to behave a certain way and do things and carry weapons, military-style weapons and other things, then law enforcement is going to have to be armed to the same extent as those people, or else you're going to have a situation like you did in California a while back, quite a few years back, when you had these two guys in full body armor and automatic weapons, and the cops had no rifles, no automatic weapons, no nothing to fight back except pistols, and they got their asses handed to them. Had to go to a pawn shop to get rifles in order to fight these guys. But, people have no forethought, so... Section 5, cannot acquire or use any military equipment. For the most part, this is okay, but that also refers to, and what I have a problem with, is machine guns. Because when I was a cop, I had a machine gun in my car, fully automatic rifle, and we trained with it, and it was a 9mm, but it was still fully automatic. And you know, you are potentially going up against people with fully automatic weapons. You need to be able to be armed to the same extent that anybody you may have to fight is armed. The rest of this, you know, no ammunition of 50 caliber or greater. Okay, silencers, I mean, there's no need, but, you know, silencers are legal in the state of Washington. I could go buy a silencer. You could go buy a silencer. You just have to pass the background check and, you know, whatever. But you can go buy a silencer. Anybody can buy one that's legally able to do so. Armed helicopters, armed or armored drones, armed vessels, armed vehicles, armed aircraft, tanks, mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles, long-range acoustic hailing devices, rockets, rocket launchers, bayonets, grenades, grenade launchers, missiles, directed energy systems, and electromagnetic spectrum weapons. I mean, yep, cops don't need a lot of that stuff and probably would never even ever ask for any of that stuff, but, you know, we got some Democratic lawmakers that are looking out for our safety, making sure we don't go full military here. Here's another good part to this whole thing. Section 7. A peace officer may not engage in a vehicular pursuit. Good God. Yep, we're going to let everybody take off. Unless there is probable cause to believe that person in the vehicle has committed or committing a violent offense or sex offense. The pursuit is necessary for the purpose of identifying or apprehending the person. Under the circumstances, the safety risks of failing to apprehend or identify the person are considered to be greater than the safety risks associated with the vehicular pursuit. The officer has received authorization to engage in the pursuit from a supervising officer, and there is supervisory control of the pursuit, and the supervisor considers relevant factors affecting public safety, such as whether there are minors present in the vehicle. A peace officer may not fire a weapon upon a moving vehicle unless necessary to protect against an imminent threat of serious physical harm resulting from the operator's or passenger's use of a deadly weapon. For the purposes of this subsection, a vehicle is not considered a deadly weapon unless extraordinary circumstances apply where it appears the operator is using the vehicle for the purpose of causing serious physical harm to another person, and the officer has no other reasonably accessible means to stop the harm. I mean, guess what, dude? A vehicle is a weapon when it's used to try to run somebody over. This milquetoast approach to law enforcement and criminals just boggles my mind. You don't know why somebody's running. I mean, this is all great and fine when you're sitting behind a desk and you're putting it all on paper, but when you're out there doing this, and I did for almost 9 years, and I was involved in a number of pursuits, and also had an on-duty shooting, and I just love the way these people quarterback all this stuff from a desk. You've never done this job. You have no idea what it's like dealing with these people. And not only was I a police officer, I worked as a fugitive recovery agent for 16 years and traveled mostly in Washington, but all over the country apprehending people during that time, and got into numerous confrontations with weapons. And you just don't understand what these people are like. These people that are on drugs and desperate and committing serious crimes, and they don't just give up. They don't just turn around and put their hands behind their back when you ask them to. And the fact that we're considering just letting a lot of this go, letting them run away to commit more crimes and hurt more people. It just boggles my mind. Who are these lawmakers worried about? This law also is going to ban no-knock warrants, which, whatever. I mean, I served lots of warrants over the years in a police officer capacity and in a fugitive recovery agent capacity. As a police officer, we always announced. I mean, I get it. Some places don't. There's no reason not to, so I don't have an issue with that. But as a fugitive recovery agent, well, yeah, we entered a lot of houses without announcing, and you know what? Nobody ever got shot that wasn't supposed to. Nobody ever got hurt that wasn't supposed to. So never went into the wrong house. Those type of mistakes should be dealt with, but to make these broad sweeping changes to law enforcement, the only people that it's going to really hurt are the citizens who are supposed to be protected from these criminal assholes that are out committing all these crimes and stealing to support their drug habits and robbing from people to support their drug habits, because all these Democrats in Seattle especially think that, that these people should be allowed to do whatever drug they want, wherever they want, and throw a tent up wherever they want, and shit wherever they want, and everything else. So, these laws about public safety don't promote public safety. And you're just putting more restrictions on the people that are supposed to be protecting the general public from all these other lovely people we have running around the state right now. And I don't understand why people support this stuff. Crime is going through the roof around here. Murders are up. Robberies are up. Burglaries are up. We're cutting back on law enforcement. We're tying their hands, and then we're sitting around wondering what happened. Why are these crimes going up? I don't know. I mean, we know we need the cops, and we need them to do a better job. Yep, mistakes have been made, and they're human beings, and they make mistakes. Maybe you should be investing in more training and put some social workers to work with the police to respond with the police to certain situations where they're needed. But otherwise, let these guys do their jobs. Let them enforce the laws and stop supporting the law breakers and letting them get away with this stuff. It's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better, before these things turn around and people start waking up to what's going on. I don't know what it's going to take, but this is another one, folks. Contact your lawmakers. You can still make comments on this and tell them you don't agree with certain parts of it or whatever. They will listen, but they got to get enough response from the public. Again, that's SB1054. And you can go to the state's website, look it up, and you can just email comments, or you can sign up to Zoom Testify when that comes around again. But let them know what you think. All right, folks. Well, you have a good day, and be safe out there.